I am statement that we are going to learn about is from John 15, where Jesus says in both verse 1 and verse 5 that I am the true vine, or I am the vine, and you are the branches. Now, this metaphor of a vineyard or of a grapevine is very well known to the people he's speaking to the first century Jews, because Israel was a land of vineyards. And the illustration of the vineyard, the vine, the fruit of the vine is found not just here in the New Testament, but also in the Old Testament. And so there is this connection between the illustration of the vineyard and the vine in the Old Testament and what Jesus is saying here on the verge of his arrest. That he spoke this during the Passover meal right before he was about to be arrested. He was trying to explain to his disciples the type of connection that they would have once he left, once he returned to heaven. And so there is this reference that he is drawing upon that his disciples were readily aware of because of their training, because they were Jewish men who had been grew up learning the scriptures. And so I want us to actually start in Isaiah 5 to look at the Old Testament connection to this vineyard and vine and fruit of the vine imagery. And so please turn to Isaiah 5, and we're just going to start reading in verse 1. So Isaiah 5, verse 1, let me sing for my beloved, my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved has a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it, and he hewed out a wine vat in it, and he looked for it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. So this vineyard that Isaiah is speaking of is actually the land of Israel. That the Lord is talking about how Israel was this vineyard and that he took great care to bring them into the promised land, the land flowing with milk and honey, that he nourished them and sustained them through the wilderness, that he brought them into the promised land, that he delivered it into their hands, that he gave them this beautiful place, and that he cleared it of stones, that he took care of it, that he planted it with the choice vines, which was the descendants of Abraham, God's very own people. And so he took his time and he showed his love and he planted this vineyard, which was Israel. And he looked for it to yield fruit. He looked for it to yield grapes, but instead it yielded wild grapes. In verse 3, it picks up and says, and now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard than I have not done for it? When I looked for it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes? There was nothing else that God could do. God gave Israel the greatest chance at being his people, at being ambassadors to the world, at being the vehicle for salvation for all people. He set them up as best as that he could. You know, he's the one that did everything right. And it was Israel that went wayward. That instead of producing the fruit that God was seeking, they went wayward and produced wild grapes. As we start moving into looking at the vine and the vineyard in the New Testament, we can see this connection of why Jesus would say that he's the true vine. Because we're looking at how things started, that God attempted to use Israel and plant it as the original vine so that it could produce fruit, so that it could be the vehicle for salvation to all people. That was their original calling. All right. So that was the final effort. Isaiah 5, 1 through 7 describes, okay, this is the people of Israel were the final effort for redemption through human means. And it had failed. That was the vine. That was the first vine. Israel was the first vine. The fact that it failed and it produced wild grapes rather than the grapes that God was seeking, the failure is not the fault of the vine dresser. It was the fault of the vine. Right? It was a bad vine. It yielded wild grapes. He says, what more could I have done? What more could I have done for my vineyard than I did already? The failure was not the fault of the vine dresser. It was a bad vine. So Jesus comes and says, I'm the new vine. I'm the true vine. I'm the vine that will not fail. And my people, those who believe in me, those that follow me, those that call me their own, are the new fruit. They're the branches, they're the fruit of this vine, of the true vine. So that's what's really cool about it, is because Jesus is saying, he is differentiating between the old covenant and the new covenant. The old covenant was with Israel, and they were the vine, but it was a bad vine and it yielded wild grapes. So now Jesus is the new covenant. He is the new vine. He's the true vine. And what he describes here, as we're going to read through it, is that it's not the vine's fault. Like, Jesus is right. He's the true vine. And so then the words to us is, how are we branches off that vine? So does that make sense? That Old Testament connection? The story runs all the way through. The gospel story does not start in Bethlehem. It starts in Eden. So now you can flip over to John 15. Yeah. So John 15, starting in verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. So he's talking to people who are already saved. You're already clean. You're already saved because you believe in me, because you've accepted me. I'm the word. Because I'm the word, you've accepted me, you are now clean. So he's not talking to non-believers. He is talking to believers. So don't assume that the bad branches he's talking about are the non-believers that he's taking away. And that the good branches are all of us who believe in him. He's talking to us. We're either a good branch or a bad branch. Don't assume you're a good branch. That's the danger, right? We all assume we're good branches. Don't assume that. Have a conversation in your spirit, in your study. Let God continue to show you and grow you so that you can be a good branch. But if we think, oh, I believe in Jesus, I'm saved, I'm good, I'm a good branch. No, he's talking to us. We're the ones who can either be good or bad branches. So verse 4, abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers. And the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. You bear much fruit, and prove to be my disciples. And this idea of abiding, and I love that the ESV, that's what I read out of, still has the word abide, because some of the translations say live in me, and it's not quite the same. And so when I think of abiding, the definition that I come up with that helps me is dependently connected. You are dependently connected. That is so much more than living in something, right? I live in my house, but I'm not dependently connected to my house. So abide, dependently connected. Because if you were to look at a vine and see a branch, at what point does the branch stop and the vine start? Do you know? You can't tell, right? Because the branch feeds into the vine. There is no stop and start point. It is dependently connected, interwoven. For those of you who are mothers, those of you who are mothers, when your child is in the womb, that is abiding. Would you say that child is living in you? Or is it so much more than that? So much more than that.
that baby is abiding in you, dependently connected. Still its own unique entity, right? The baby isn't you, but the baby's abiding in you, dependently connected. So if you think about the vine and the branches, if a branch is removed, what's affected? The branch. The vine recognizes it, right? I mean, there's a place there that branch is meant to be. We're all meant to be in Christ. We have a specific spot on his vine that our branch is supposed to be. And when it's not there, it is missed. He does grieve it, but he doesn't change. So if we don't choose him, he doesn't change. We're the ones who suffer for it. We're the ones who wither. Not him. He grieves it. There's a spot right there for us. My branch is supposed to be there. But if I remove it, the vine stays the vine. I'm the one who's affected by whether or not I'm abiding, whether or not I'm dependently connected. Bearing fruit, he's talking about bearing fruit. That is a sign that a branch is dependently connected to the vine. It is a sign that it is drawing its nourishment from the vine. Another thing, if you were to look at because he's talking about a grapevine, the way that it is, that vine, you have the branches, but the vine is over the branches, underneath the branches, inside the branches, in between the branches. And so if you think about Jesus, he is everywhere. And I love that idea of he is over, he is underneath, he's inside, and he's in between. He is so much more than just a small connection. We're connected, but then he's around us, he's underneath us, he's inside us. And so he supplies us nourishment physically, but we should be seeking that spiritual nourishment because that's where the fruit is going to come from. And he says, every branch that does not bear fruit, the vine dresser takes away. And this branch withers. It is thrown into the fire and burned. And I just think that idea is amazing because either with the branch, either it's being pruned or it's being removed. And it depends on fruitfulness, right? If you're pruned, he says, you're pruned so that you can bear more fruit and prove to be my disciples. If you're not bearing fruit, then you're removed and it withers. I have heard that Billy Graham thinks that there are times, and maybe this is one of those times in the Bible where it talks about fire, that it's not necessarily a literal fire, but it is this burning inside of us for Jesus that can't be quenched. And if you're removed from the vine, you will burn with that desire and not have it. So does this mean that if you're a believer and you're not producing fruit that you get taken off and thrown into hell? I can't say to that. I don't think so. But to me it makes sense what Billy Graham was saying, that you burn for him, that there is a yearning. As I looked into the pruning of grapevines, because he says it a couple of times about this idea of pruning. So I'm like, okay, so if I'm not bearing fruit, then basically I've broken off and I'm withering and I'm burning for him. But if I do stay grafted in, he prunes me. So what does pruning look like? Is there something there? There is. Are you ready to be seriously? This is cool stuff. Okay. When pruning a grapevine, the vine dresser needs to prune the vine back to just 2 branches. Looking at big picture, applying that spiritually, what are the 2 branches? I just talked about it. Jew and Gentile. Old covenant, new covenant. He took the vine and pruned it back to just 2 branches. Gentile and Jew. And when it does that, it ends up looking like a cross. Because you have the vine, and you have 2 branches coming off of it. It looks like a cross. And it's the Jew branch, and it's the Gentile branch. From each branch comes 12 buds. Wow. What are the 12 buds on the Jewish branch? 12 tribes of Israel. What are the 12 buds on the Gentile branch? 12 disciples. 2 branches, 12 buds on each branch. But wait, there's more. Wait for it. These 12 buds bloom in the 4th year. How long was Jesus' ministry? 3 years. The book of Acts is the 4th year. They bloomed. These 12 bloomed in the 4th year. Now, if we go to the Jewish branch, you have to take a look. It's not 4 physical years, but from the time of Joseph, from the time of the 12, Joseph was one of the 12 tribes, remember? And in the story of Joseph, they all come over to Egypt. He had 11 brothers, so there's the 12 tribes of Israel came off of those 12 brothers. And so the end of Genesis is the death of Joseph, and the beginning of Exodus is the story of Moses. And between the end of Genesis and the beginning of Exodus is 400 years. So they bloomed in 400 years. So you still have that 4. Because it is off of those 12 buds that more are produced. That's how you get these full bunches of grapes. So that's the big picture, right? Takes the vine, cuts it down to 2 branches, Jew, Gentile, 12 buds on each, bloom in the 4th year. So when Jesus is talking about this stuff, it's cool. I mean, like, they understood what this stuff was about. We're the ones who have to dig a little deep because we weren't a part of that culture. So that's big picture. So let's take it down then to little picture, personal application. Personal fruitfulness only comes through pruning. We get pruned continually because the more we get pruned, the more fruit that we bear, the more fruitful we get. But I'm sure none of us like to be pruned. That's not very fun. Not very pleasant. I want the fruit, but not the pruning. Well, doesn't work that way. But here's a comfort. The gardener is never closer to the branch than when he's pruning it. If you are being pruned, he is never closer than in that moment, first of all, and second of all, it is so that you can bear more fruit. It is so he can bless you more. So I went on Google, and all I did, seriously, was just Google reasons to prune, like reason to prune plants. That's all I did. And I just went to this typical gardening site, thinking, okay, maybe there's something in that too. Like why you prune? I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a gardener. So I don't know why you would prune other than to be more fruitful. But there's got to be more than that, right? So I went to this website, and it was just like the first gardening website that came up. And literally I wrote down everything word for word because everything listed had a spiritual meaning. And so I'm going to share with you the 8 reasons that professional gardeners say to prune. And I want you to think of just the spiritual implication of this. So one of the reasons to prune is to control the size and form of the branch. You are pruned so that God can shape you. That He can control your size and your form. You are pruned to be shaped. Second reason. I love this one. It's to enhance its beauty and character. You are pruned so that God can enhance your beauty and character. And through this process of enhancing your character, it is to become more Christ-like. Can anybody in this room think of anything more beautiful than Jesus? No. So in the process of Him enhancing your character to be more like Christ, you will become more beautiful. He's pruning you to enhance both your beauty and your character. Isn't that awesome? Another reason. To promote a healthy branch by removing existing damage. Jesus prunes you so that you can be healthy. And He does it by removing existing damage. Jesus is coming in nice and close, and He's got His pruning shears, and He is clipping off that existing damage. So that you can be healthy. You can be whole. because that damage will limit your growth. It'll limit your ability to be enhanced into his character. Another reason, to improve fruiting, so the budding of fruit, and this is awesome, right? By increasing air circulation and light circulation inside the branch. He improves fruiting, so the ability to create fruit, he improves that by increasing the circulation of air. What is air? Breath, spirit. He prunes you to improve the circulation of his spirit inside of you. And light circulation. Who's the light? Jesus. So he prunes you to increase the circulation of both the spirit and his light inside of you so that your ability to create fruit is increased. All right, we're only halfway through. Right? Isn't this amazing? I'm just sitting here like literally I had to pick up my jaw off the floor and just start writing it down literally word for word off of this gardening site. And I'm sitting here going, are you serious? To increase air and light circulation? Oh my gosh. All right, another reason. To direct growth, to prevent potential damage. If your branch is growing toward a dangerous place, he will prune it to redirect you. To redirect you away from the potential damage, to protect you. Crazy. Jesus does that. Totally. Another one. If you are new in your faith, or if you're new to returning to Christ, it says that you prune to train young branches. Those that are newly grafted in, new branches, he will prune them to train them. And then for older branches, those of us who get stagnant, and stale and stuck, he will prune us to stimulate new growth. To train young branches and to stimulate new growth on older branches. And the last one, I'm not sure if it, seriously, there's someone here that's cool, but this is just awesome. The last reason you prune, to prevent out of control branches. Isn't that insane? To prevent out of control branches, he will prune us. All these reasons to prune. And I'm sitting here going, it's just some gardener who's talking about plants. But I'm like, no, you're talking about me. These are the reasons that Jesus pruned me. So there's times where, no, it does not feel good, but look at the reasons he's doing it. I can trust the vine dresser. I can trust him. I may not like it. I may have liked that part. But he's taking it away because he has something better, bigger, more beautiful, more fruitful in store for us. We go through these stages in our life where you are being pruned and it doesn't feel good. And you can't see why yet. So just lean into him because he is never closer than when he's pruning. Lean into him and trust him.